a lot of people are very amused at a sort of Freudian slip that Keir Starmer made in the Labour Party conference. He's also guilty of making other slips in Parliament. I don't think it's funny. I think there's something wrong. He may be just very tired. But I think it tells us a lot about the way his mind works. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. So, if you haven't seen the gaffe he made, I'll play it to you now.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages, and a recommitment to the two-state solution. OK, now he was actually reading an auto cue there, so that's not a mistake he should have made. And then there's this. This was in Parliament. The Prime Minister knows the framework and they shout, they issued the guidance, they know what the test is.
He referred to Rishi Sunak as the Prime Minister. He's the Prime Minister. So you think, how come he doesn't know he's the Prime Minister? I'm sure he does. He must be very tired and he's probably overloaded. But it seems to me that there's, well, I mean, we know there's a problem here. To deal with this first, this is a man who wants to control everything. He has a particularly rigid attitude to all sorts of things. When those riots started, sparked by the Southport massacre, he made no attempt to show any sympathy to the people, and he turned up with a wreath, and when he was heckled he just walked in, dumped the wreath and ran off. He couldn't handle the crowd. He appears not to be able to think on his feet, really. Actually, that reminds me of the interview he did where he was asked, does a woman have a cervix? And I'll play the video. I don't have it right here, so I'll have to find it and I'll insert it here. So I'll freeze myself while that goes on.
Is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix?
Well, it is something that shouldn't be said. It is not right. But Andrew, I don't think that...
So Rosie Duffield should not have said that. Can you explain to people watching why she should not have said that?
Well, Andrew, I don't think that we can just go through various things that people have said. Rosie Duffield, I spoke to Rosie earlier this week and told her that conference was a safe place for her to come, and it is a safe place for her to come. And I spoke to others to make exactly the same principle. We do everybody a disservice when we reduce what is a really important issue to these exchanges on particular things that are said. The trans community are, as I say, the most marginalised and abused of many, many communities, and we need to make progress on the gender recognition.
You see from that video how he couldn't handle the question. He just obfuscated, and then he said, you shouldn't ask that question. We shouldn't talk about it. That's a very rigid mindset of somebody who can't handle off-beam ideas. And with this, now my theory about this terrible gaffe is there's one of two possibilities. One of them is that his children, they were talking, he and his wife were talking about hostages, and one of the children got the word sausages out of it. You know how kids misunderstand words like that. So one of the kids was talking about sausages, and the family thought that was, well, Starmer and his wife thought that was quite amusing, but it stuck in his mind. It stuck in his mind so far that it just came out even when he saw the word in front of him. The other possibility, which is far less savoury, you might say, was that people in number 10 were being flippant about the hostage situation. And, the hostages, I'm sorry, we're referring to the hostages that Hamas took on October the 7th. And are still, apparently half of them might be still alive, but nobody really knows what's happened to them. So people in number 10 might be flippant. That might be the office banter that goes on, which is not a very nice thought. I would prefer to be charitable and think that Starmer was just doing something that had been pushed into his mind by one of his children. However, it again shows a sort of a mental attitude that I don't find at all reassuring. He can't handle difficult situations. He can't think on his feet that well. Well, somebody said he's like somebody in middle management that's found himself promoted over his pay grade, really. Definitely, there are other people with higher pay grades, aren't there? And then there was this very unreassuring headline in the Telegraph. "The state will take back control of people's lives," said Starmer. So this is the middle management type with very rigid ideas, talking about shutting pubs early so that people don't drink into the night, or that sort of rigid idea of the government. You should always be suspicious of any government that says it's going to control you. When somebody is in control of your life, you've got to have confidence in them. And I don't have confidence in Starmer. I mean, it's like being in a car with a driver you don't trust. And quite frankly, the way Starmer's acting, I think his idea of control will end with us crashing into something. Sir Keir Starmer has said the state will take more control in people's lives. So what he did was he got the Take Back Control slogan, which came from Brexit. That is, we want to take back control over our country instead of letting the European Union dictate what we say and do. And they stole that take back control to talk about our government controlling the people. Areas that he claimed would benefit from government control include the NHS, energy, justice, education, the office and the economy. They're already controlling justice, aren't they? If you've looked at the way they've dished out justice to people who are angry with what the government are doing right now. You can give control to people only if you think they're capable. And I don't fancy giving control to somebody who will look at the word hostage and say the word sausage. Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.